Welcome. My name is Grandma Storm. I write stories for young adults. Today I am reading chapters 6 through 10 in my book, The Book of Faith. A half-grown boy with an iron-tipped staff in his hand and a knife in his belt stood upon an outcropping of rock overlooking an arid valley. Gathered around him was his flock. They were thirsty and needed to drink from the river far below. Mad wolves and thieves haunted the territory. He must be cautious. Counting his sheep, he kept the ewes with lambs close to his side and started down the rocky trail. As they turned a bend, a wolf jumped upon a lamb. The flock scattered. The boy gripped his staff. With a powerful swing, the boy brought the staff crashing down upon the head of the wolf. The wolf tossed the lamb and swung around to charge the boy. With an upward swing, he caught the wolf square in the jaw. He heard the bone crack. With eyes blazing, the beast sprang. Bracing for the blow, the boy aimed the staff at the open, bloody mouth. The staff speared the wolf straight down the throat. The force knocked the boy to the rocks. The thrashing body of the wolf lay upon him. The beast's life drained away, dragging himself from beneath the great dog. The boy rose on shaking legs. Yanking the staff out of the monster, he scraped it on a rock and looked for the lamb. It lay where the wolf threw it. It was bloody and a leg was broken, but it was alive. With a gentle touch, he bound the wounds with cloth torn from his clothes. Then he set about gathering the scattered flock. They needed water more than ever. But he decided first to skin the wolf. He was as good with his knife as he was with his staff. He bound the skin with his belt and strapped it to his back. With gentle touch, he lifted the injured lamb to his shoulder and draped it around his neck. The lamb's mother ran to the shepherd's side. With the entire flock, the journey to the river began anew. How sweet was the water! The boy washed the wounds of the lamb. From a tree he cut a splint to bind the broken leg. With time and care, the leg would mend. It was then he heard a voice. He rose to see a man walking toward him. The boy reached for his knife. The intruder saw his action and smiled, shouting a greeting. Calling out, the boy demanded to know what clan he claimed and who his father was. The man paused, ran his eyes up and down the frame of the resolute boy. He saw the glint of the knife. He saw the iron-tipped staff. He saw the wolf's skin. The man was no kinsman. He came to steal. Instead, he decided to back away, which was wiser than he knew. The boy was as expert at throwing his knife as he was in wielding his staff. With the intruder gone, the boy gathered his flock, lifted the injured lamb to his shoulder, and turned his steps to the shallows to wade to the green pasture on the other side of the river. 7. After the reading lesson, Pa sent Faith and Sonia into the wood to play. He wanted to tend his garden alone, to think about what he learned from the farmer, Old Scratch, from his visit the other day. At first, the miller had been glad to see another man. It was not long into the visit when he remembered why he did not like many men and why he trusted even fewer. Old Scratch had pale skin and bleary blue eyes. When he took off his crumpled cap, his greasy red hair attracted flies. His skin was raw and red from the constant attention of his grimy fingernails. He was not too concerned about what he scratched either. Nose, ears, head, and backside were all given equal attention. The miller was careful to sit upwind of Old Scratch. "Me harvest be bad last year. Yield each year be smaller and smaller," bemoaned Old Scratch. "Yeah, my spring hogs was puny this year, too. If I lets them loose in the wood to fend for themselves, the wolves will get 'em. If I keeps them in the sties, I can't find enough slop to fatten 'em. Say, why don't you keep some old hogs?" Theophilus did not need to answer as Old Scratch launched into another soliloquy. "Hear the latest about the dear queen?" queried Old Scratch. "Just between us'ns, she demands more all the time. If anybody ever asks me, I just say she be so wise and good and all. Think we can keep hiding out cheer? Ye be pretty remote and all. I makes the journey 'cause I know you don't charge much. Say, what are you gonna charge me for today's grindings?" The miller indicated a fair price. Old Scratch squinted and countered. Weary of the man, a lower price was negotiated. He finished the job and filled the sacks. Old Scratch reached in his pocket and slowly counted out the agreed amount on a bench. Thinking the farmer would soon be on his way, the miller was distressed to see Old Scratch pull up a stool, dig for his pipe, and settle down for a smoke. After an hour of one-sided conversation, full of complaints and troubles delivered with his foul breath, Old Scratch opened a new line of grievances and mumbled on, "Dear Queen this, dear Queen that." As the day faded, Old Scratch got up to go. As he turned down the lane, he caught a glimpse of what he really came to see, a little girl coming out of the wood. Scratching his nose, he turned back to the lane, hit the bony mule with the prod, and went his way. Later, when the miller picked up the coins, he realized 2 of them were fake. In the clear sunshine of the next day, working the black earth of his garden, the foul stench of Old Scratch was less distressing. His thoughts were less dark. After all, where could he keep the little girl safer than here in this cottage by this river? She was so small, it would be difficult for her to travel to his old home. She would be safest there, but certainly the reach of the dear queen was weak at this distance from her capital. He did not see any course than the one he set since Faith's mother died. Yet he wondered, how would the book advise him? He would seek an answer there. 8. Faith was jubilant. Peeping sounds came from a crack in the egg. Faith could see the little bird struggling to escape. She wanted to peel away the shell, but Pa forbade her to interfere in any way. He told her young things needed to work to become strong. With a last feeble push, the shell broke away. Faith saw a featherless creature with big feet rolled in a tight ball, its eyes sealed shut. Concern clouded the little girl's face. She wondered what to do. She looked to Pa. He was prepared. Finely ground bits from the garden and grain from the mill had soaked in hot water until soft and warm. Ever so gently, he presented a spoonful of the tepid mixture to the open beak. With each feeding and then sleep, the hatchling woke eager for more. On day 4, the little bird opens its eyes. Feathers sprouted on the top of its head and along its back. Soon the fluffy baby could drink on its own. The seed, grain, and garden bits were more like a paste now, which the little squab ate from Faith's hand. One day, Pa asked her if she would like to name the fledgling. He told her it was a female girl, a female bird, a little girl like her. Faith was thrilled. I want to name her Anna. Faith had never laughed with a playmate. She had never splashed in the river or rolled down the hill with a friend. She had never invited another child to her hideaway in the mothering tree. In fact, she could not remember ever seeing another child. It did not bother her. She had never experienced anything else. She had Pa. She knew he loved her, and she loved him. She had Sonia. Sonia was somber and stubborn, but Faith could not imagine life without her. Yet she knew she was missing something important. The book told the story of Anna. Anna was a little girl like Faith. Like Faith, Anna did not have a mother. Sometimes she pretended Anna visited and they played together at the mothering tree. Now she could have an Anna for real. Yes, Anna would be the little dove's name. When Faith went into the wood now, there were 3. She led the way with Anna riding atop her head. Sonia followed. Even when Anna learned to fly, she would not stray from Faith. The summer was filled with flowers, rainbows, adventures in the wood, and peaceful evenings in the cottage. 9. As Theophilus determined, he read deeply into the law within the book. Faith liked the stories, but for him, the law was rich in guidance. That is what he needed. Quiet caution was what he gleaned. He also looked to the summer skies, searching the heavens for a sign to confirm his inclination to stay. All he saw were columns of clouds in the day and unwavering stars at night. Like them, he decided to remain still. Summer days slipped by, drifting through soft magic of fireflies and flowers. How was it one morning the mother's grave upon the hill was freshly shrouded in a blanket of red leaves? Soon would be the season of rain, then frost. Preparations must be made. Memories made the miller reluctant to leave. Who would remember to tend the grave if he and Faith ran away? Yet old Scratch's gossip about the dear queen disturbed his mind. He wondered how much of a threat she was to their peaceful life by the river. The few farmers that came to the mill brought no news. He began to think his quiet home would remain unmolested, and yet he prepared 3 packs, 1 for him and 2 for Sonia. In them he bundled provisions, cloaks, and coins. One afternoon he told his little girl if he ever called her, she must do exactly as he instructed, with no questions. Faith was alarmed by the serious tone in his voice. For a few days she did not stray from his side. She worked with him in the garden, helping to bring in the harvest. She went to the meadows with him, helping cut and rake grass to dry for hay. When he worked in the mill, she waded in the river and collected clamshells. Together they canned jars of jam and filled pots with honey to store for the seasons of rain and frost. Time, sunshine, and harvest eased worry for both. One pleasant morning, Faith thought to visit her playhouse at the Mothering Tree. It was a long time since she had seen her woody friend. Her collections might need sorting. Her bed might need fresh leaves. "May I go to the wood?" "Yes," said Pa with a smile as he cupped her face in his hands. "Today is your 7th birthday. Go play." He always counted the day she came to him as her birthday. That was 5 years ago. It was not the day of her actual birth. He did not know that, but the day Faith was committed to his care. He calculated backward as best as he could. He considered her development both physically and mentally, and assigned his little girl an age. He hoped he got it right. Deep in the forest, Faith noticed something shiny tied to a low branch of a thorn tree. A gold ribbon flashed in the sunlight like living fire. How strange! Why was it there? Maybe it was her birthday gift. Maybe Pa tied it there as a surprise. The ribbon glittered and danced and enticed her fingers to touch it. Sonia gave it a sniff and rudely blew her nose. Anna marveled to the gold ribbon and cooed. Faith stared at it. It made her think of fine ladies and queens. She was sure a queen would have such things as this. As if in a trance, she stretched out her hand to touch the golden treasure. Sonia snorted, stamped her hoof, and gave her mistress a shove with her muzzle, knocking her to the ground. Faith's hands were cut by thorns as she fell. Crying and bleeding, she jumped up and ran for home. Anna followed on wing. Sonia kicked her heels at the gold ribbon and trotted after her mistress. Hidden eyes saw. Mumbling curses, a man breathed, "Misery, misery." 10. Faith broke out of the wood and ran to the wash house. Under cool, running water, the wound stopped bleeding and the little girl stopped crying. Why would Sonia push her like that? Why would her best friend hurt her like that? She would tell Pa. Where was he? She looked in the cottage and then in the mill. Where was Pa? She ran to the river and saw Sonia getting a drink, but Pa wasn't there. Faith looked in Sonia's shed. Pa was not there. Anna flew to her girl's shoulder whenever she stopped long enough for her to land. Then Faith saw him sitting on the hill. He was by the grave of her mother. She ran to join him, with Anna in pursuit. "Just having a visit with your mother," he said, welcoming her to sit beside him. He did not notice the tears on her face, for his eyes were clouded with tears of his own. She thought she should think of her mother too. After all, it was her birthday. Mothers were important on such days. Always, always, as she tried to pry open the memories, they would snap shut. Then she remembered she wanted to tell Pa what Sonia had done to her. With her blue eyes as wide as they could be, she told him about the ribbon and about Sonia pushing her away. She showed him her hands. His smile faded. He examined her scratches. They would heal. But the gold ribbon, he questioned her about it. Where was it? He was glad to hear it was left in the thorns. He did not say it, but he was glad Sonia pushed Faith away. He knew there was more to that donkey and her wisdom than Faith could understand. That gold ribbon was a bad sign. The reach of the dear queen had come to his wood. Her spies had found his little girl. Would brown leathers be next? Keepers and accountants might not be far behind. They must leave. Why, oh why, he thought, must they flee now? The season of rain was upon them. He fought the temptation to stay in his snug cottage. A journey now would be cold and wet and miserable. But he knew if the heart that lay still in the grave understood the threat, that heart would beg him to run. There was no choice but to escape. Come with me, Theophilus said, taking her hand. I have salve in the cupboard that will soothe your hands. Now, don't be upset with Sonia. Why, do you know that the other day as they walked down the hill, he told her a funny story about Sonia. Faith laughed, found herself forgiving her pet and forgetting the gold ribbon. Theophilus wanted all, on this last day in the cottage by the river, to be as normal as possible. If other eyes were watching, he did not want them to suspect a thing. They shared their noonday meal. They tended to the mill. As the sun set, they ate a quiet dinner, shut Sonia in her shed, closed the cottage shutters, barred the door, and lit a candle. With Anna perched on top of Faith's head, Pa opened the book. Theophilus was right. There was a pair of eyes watching, but they became bored of the boring things so two boring, stupid people did. The watching eyes blinked, willed themselves to stay open, but by the middle of the night, closed. Old Scratch descended into dark dreams. The rain did not even wake him. Skiva would be furious. Thank you for listening. To hear more of the story, please come back soon, or you may purchase your own copy on Amazon. Just follow the link below. Until next time.